John, one of the interesting facts that everyone predicted is the gap between Manchester City and Liverpool and the rest.
Yeah.
It's beginning to open up now. And they both won away from home. Let's have a look at Liverpool's performance against Sheffield United. It was an interesting game, Saturday lunchtime game.
Yeah.
I thought Liverpool were, by their high standards, very average. And I thought Sheffield United were outstanding.
Very good. Well, very good at what they do, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And Liverpool weren't as good as what they normally do. Mainly because Sheffield stopped them, because their spirit and their organisation was very, very good. And like we always talk about goals dictating the game. You know, Sané had a couple of good chances early on.
Oh, he had a great chance in the first half. Yeah.
That finishes the game. You know what I mean? If you miss them, then you're letting them off the hook and they get stronger, and then it's more difficult to do it. But in the end, they got a break. I mean, I think they obviously deserve to win the match, Liverpool, but they got a break with the goalkeeper making a real howler. So they could easily have dropped the 2 points, but could have had it finished.
Yes.
They didn't play as well as they normally play. I think when they're playing against a team like Sheffield United and they didn't score early on, I think they lack that creative force in the middle of the field to open them up. And Sheffield were good, they were getting behind the ball, but it takes a creative force to do it. And Fabinho is the only one that can do it. Like Henderson's not going to, Wijnaldum's not going to do it, Milner's not going to do it. So it's hard to break these teams down.
Yeah.
It's hard to break them down at the best of times, but if you don't take your chances like they did with Sané, and then you're up against it to do it. Yeah. But they did get a break with the goalkeeper.
Oh yeah, it's a big break.
Big break.
They kind of needed it. Wijnaldum hit the shot. Keeper who has been very good, Henderson, Sheffield United goalkeeper, he's very good. He was good on Saturday. Apart from that howler, and the manager afterwards wasn't too sympathetic. He didn't put an arm around his shoulder. No. He said if he wants to be a player, he's got to learn. He's got to learn and can't do things like that. Yeah. In terms of the creativity with Liverpool, I think it's fair to say, I think I can see Klopp's thinking. We'll have that presence in midfield that's physical. Fabinho he can get stuck in, and he'll have Henderson there and Milner or Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum is a very good player. He's a workhorse. Yeah. And therefore they protect the back four. The creativity, I think he sees Salah, Mane, Firmino. The front three, the front two with Firmino dropping deeper. There's the creativity.
But that's, you've played in midfield. You don't.
I know, no.
Well, you don't create from the forwards depend on the midfield to create them.
Yeah.
They're terrific players at what they do. The forwards.
The two full backs.
Yeah, but they come in. Yeah, but I know what you're saying. They come into it. Okay, they're the overlapping, but you don't create from the full back position. You create from the middle of the field. That's where it's created. All the stuff is back and front. It links back to front. And they don't have that. They've got terrific players all around the pitch. And there's no one way of doing it. They're terrifically successful at what they do. I'm looking at a match on Saturday where they're playing Sheffield United and they're defending well. They don't have that creativity to do it.
David Silva is a good example, or Bernardo Silva even.
Or Bernardo Silva to do that. But that's fair enough because there's no one way of doing it. They do it that way. City do it another way. And it's effectiveness that counts. And they're terrific at the back. They didn't give anything away. They got a break, but they could have had it finished. Yep. Sané doesn't normally miss the chances.
No.
That's football.
Salah missed a big chance as well. Salah missed a big chance. But they were 1-0 up at the time, but he was 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Yeah.
And he knocked it, which is unlike him. So, like, if you look at Liverpool at what they do really well, it could have been a stroll. But that's football, Eamon. It doesn't happen every week. You get changes here and there, changes in there. But they got a break to win it. They could have easily dropped the 2 points, but they didn't, and they deserve to win it.
Still a sign of the high line they're playing. Yeah. And still a sign that when they play the really good teams, they'll be punished for not tracking runners and for taking the easy way out, really. Yeah. And pushing out and leaving gaps in behind them.
Yeah, it's not necessarily out on the game. I think it's bad defending. I think Sheffield United had a couple of half chances from that.
Callum Robinson had a chance.
Yeah, which they don't need to do it. And again, as you say, if you want to come against the better teams who can actually hold the ball in the middle of the field and wait for the runner coming from behind, then it could have. When there's a fault, it catches up on you somewhere along the line. And I don't know why they're doing it, because they don't need to do it. They've got terrific defenders. They don't need to do it. But we'll wait and see as it goes along. But even Sheffield United had a couple of, I think 2, that might have been very, very expensive for Liverpool.
Just to make the point about Sheffield United, 3 Irish players in the team. Egan, the centre-half, son of the great Kerry footballer. Stevens, left-back. Callum Robinson. I'm not sure of the status of O'Connell, but it sounds Irish.
I thought there was another Irish lad playing for them, that's played in the Irish team. Not O'Connell, but somebody else.
Callum Robinson. But the point I'm making is Stevens in particular looks an outstanding player.
Very good. Yeah, he's good lad.
Pro. Yeah. And the manager there has done a really good job. I thought they were well organised. Played 3 at the back, but the 2 wing backs, one of them on the left, Stevens, when they haven't got the ball, they get back and make it a back 5. And the gaps that Liverpool can hurt you in, the wide gaps for Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Salah, Mane, where they can get players in there, they didn't appear, those gaps.
No. Well, they did it well, but again, I go back to the midfield situation. I mean, if you're not creating in the middle of the field, then it's very difficult to create those gaps. But they're a well organised team, good spirit about them. Sheffield United, lad's done a great job. I think was he in the 3rd division or something?
He's everywhere he's been. Yeah, he's been non-league.
But Sheffield United, even he's got promotion, I think, in 2 seasons. Well, the manager Chris Wilder, apparently, I think he's a Liverpool lad, because he was saying after the match what a great treat it was for him, having followed Liverpool all the years. Yeah, that he's manager against. But he's done a terrific job.
He's managed in the lower leagues. He's managed at non-league. And when he went there, Sheffield United looked like they were dead and buried, might be going into administration, all kinds of stuff. So it's a good story. Yeah. And we just hope that they have enough to stay in the Premier League. They certainly have an enthusiastic crowd. Yes. Now, John, Manchester City go to Everton. As expected, Jesus gave them a 1-0 lead, but they gave that goal back. And I thought they were at the back. Otamendi, no way he's good enough to play there. And I thought they looked poor at the back, John, again.
Well, they did when they were under pressure, Eamon. I mean, I was just reading the paper this morning. I think it was Rick Carson was saying that they had a plan against them, to get behind them, and that, which is fair enough. I think it's okay when you have plans, and I'm going off the track a little bit, plans, but my take on football, get everything right in your own team, and then never mind getting the weakness of these, you're aware of them. They were poor for the set pieces, particularly. I mean, there was a couple of chances, but again with City, like they had 2. I think 2. They could have been 2 up within 10 minutes. Yeah. Of the game.
Oh yeah, their forwards are outstanding. But on Saturday he kind of left Aguero on the bench. He left David Silva on the bench. He left Bernardo Silva also on the bench. And I thought what Saturday showed is how important David Silva and Bernardo, of course, Aguero is such a great goal scorer. They have Champions League football this week. But what really troubles me is Fernandinho is 34 now. He's a midfield player. He's converted him.
To a back four, yes.
He's playing in the back 4 now. They've got Zinchenko, who's average to left full back. Why is a team that spent £1 billion still looking for a dependable defender instead of having to do with, players that don't look really up to it? That's my question. I can't understand Guardiola's attitude to defending.
Well, I think we've spoken about this a long time, Eamon. I think there should be more emphasis on defending. But if you take the Everton match the other day, I mean, Everton could have scored a couple of goals. City could have scored 5 or 6 goals. Yeah. Right. So if you go back to the Liverpool situation we're talking about, there's no one way of doing it. Right? City do it their way. And if you're talking about him leaving out the players, well, I thought that was a brave move because they've got a lot of. It's not a minus; it's a plus because they've got a lot of matches. They're coming up, and if you have this squad, then you're going to play them.
These are
terrific players. That's why. And you have to rest them, Eamon. The amount of matches you're playing nowadays. But they went in and did the job. In the long run, they did the job. They won well. They won 3-1. They could have won. The score could have been 5-2, 5-3, 6-3.
It could because Ederson had to make 2 important saves in the second half.
Yeah.
And the goal that put them in front, Mahrez free kick.
Yeah.
Pickford was very poor. The Everton goalkeeper.
Yeah, but that's their fault, Eamon.
Yeah.
Like you
So no problem there then.
Well,
play with like a pretty. I don't think Zinchenko or Fernandinho or Otamendi would get into the Liverpool team.
But you're right. But would Wijnaldum, would Henderson, would Fabinho even get into the Manchester City team?
No, but
that's the emphasis on either way.
That's 3 of his back 4.
Yeah, but that's 3 midfield. I'm telling 3 midfield players.
Do you think it might come back to haunt them? Do you think it might come back to haunt them?
Well, we've been talking about this we've played this since Guardiola came to the club. It's going to catch up with him sometime. But in the meantime, he's won 3 trophies or 4 trophies or 5 trophies in the meantime. There's no one way of doing it, Eamon. I agree with you. There should be more emphasis on defending. But look at the players they have going forward. Again, if you took, how many of the midfield players for City or Liverpool were in the Manchester City team? There's a different emphasis from both managers.
Exactly.
Right? But I think Klopp has weaknesses in what I would describe as a lack of creativity in the midfield. But they're a terrific team. What's the overall cause? What's the overall situation?
My point would be this: that the balance in the Manchester City team is awry. They have great attacking players. But it's quite striking.
And a great goalkeeper, by the way.
A great goalkeeper.
That Ederson is he's entitled to make his saves.
Very good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But there were 3 set pieces in the second half. And they're just not competing. Every one of those set pieces was won by an Everton player. Corner kicks, free kicks.
There was one they should have scored from.
There was one they should have scored. Ederson made a very good save.
Yeah.
But Calvert-Lewin,
bad header, actually. He had to straight at him.
He couldn't. But every time the ball was played into the box, and it was the game they lost at Norwich was exactly the same. The game City lost.
No, it wasn't.
The first goal came from a corner.
No, it was the fell on bench slip-ups. They played terrible against Norwich.
The first goal Norwich scored was a corner.
Yeah.
Ball played into the box. Only one person with the determination to get on the end of that cross. It was a Norwich defender, and it was in the back of the net. They're 1-0 down. It doesn't seem right to me that a team that aspires to win the Champions League, and of course aspires to win the Premier League, should allow that weakness to continue.
Well, it shouldn't. It's not right. But this is the same team and the same philosophy for the last 3 years, I mean. You're talking about defending last year. They had to, with Liverpool doing what they did, I think they had to win 18 matches to do what needed to be done. And actually, I'm not into stats, but I just read at one time, they conceded 2 goals more than Liverpool last year. 2 goals. And obviously scored more goals. So they don't, if you look over a season, with all the faults that you're talking about, they don't concede that many goals, I mean.
Isn't it very... the point I'm trying to make and have been trying to make.
I get the point you're making.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, they could be better, and there should be more emphasis on defending at the back. That's where you get the all-round team. I agree with that.
Right.
But you have to look at the other stuff that they do in an overall aspect of it. They score more goals than Liverpool. Liverpool have what they have, which is Klopp's the 3 up the front, being the go. They're terrific team at what they do. Right?
Liverpool had a basic problem at the back, and 2 years ago, and Klopp addressed it. He addressed it by signing Virgil van Dijk when he was available. Yeah. He also brought Matip from Germany on a free transfer, which is a great piece of business. Yep. So problem solved for Liverpool in that respect. The question for if I was a City fan is why, when Harry Maguire, say, was available last summer, Pep Guardiola didn't go and get him for 75 million.
Yeah, I agree. I think he should have done that. But if you take all these things into consideration, with Liverpool buying what they bought, still City pipped them for the league.
Yeah, what does that prove?
It proved they won more matches and got more points than them.
Yeah, but right? How does it justify?
Justifies the defence they put out Saturday. But justifies doing what they did. Right. I agree with you that they should more emphasis, but you can't look at them and say, well, it's Liverpool brought that and that and that. And they had those players last year. They still didn't beat Manchester City in the run-in for the league.
Yeah.
So whatever Guardiola is doing
is okay.
If they're doing what they're doing, it's okay winning what they're winning. There could be more emphasis. Look, if you say to Liverpool, if I'm looking at you from the Liverpool side, I'd say, well, why didn't Klopp buy Silva and De Bruyne and some of the other players that they have in midfield?
He didn't need
Liverpool. Oh, well, I think he needs them.
Do you?
So, yeah, of course he does. Wijnaldum and
let's talk about De Bruyne. Let's talk about De Bruyne. He's not a player you like particularly.
No, I do like him. He's not doing this stuff the way he should be doing his stuff at the moment. I think 2 years.
He's very sulky.
Sulky. He's not doing it the way he should be doing it. Definitely not. And he can play. He can really play.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why Liverpool didn't buy him. Probably saw him playing at Chelsea.
He did.
Actually, to be fair,
I don't think that's fair.
He was at Chelsea for quite some time.
Yeah.
Never really did his stuff there. But 2 years ago, he was a very important player. Yeah. He was the best midfield player in England.
Yeah, by a long
He drove City forward. Yeah. He's a very, very good player. The other thing to be said about City, I think, in the light of Saturday even, how important David Silva has been over his spell there, not just for Guardiola, but before that for Pellegrini and Mancini.
He's been a terrific player. He's been a great player.
And he's 32, 33 now, so they're going to have to replace him. And the other player, I think, who will be very important for them and is Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, he's a good player as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a lot of terrific players. And see, his emphasis is on what he does, obviously in what he does, which has been very, very successful, right? And you could say, of course, I would agree, but there should be more emphasis at the back, and there isn't. But that's what he sees it, and that's what he's done. In Klopp's case, it's different. He's done well at the back, but in midfield, if you look at from midfield forward, or especially in the midfield, like City have much better players than Liverpool. But it's the overall effect that matters in a long period of time, Eamon. There's no one way of doing it.
Let's leave that and go to one of our favourite subjects, Spurs. They beat Southampton 2-1. They needed a result. And Pochettino's time at Spurs, I think, might be limited. He doesn't sound as if he's a happy camper, and the players certainly aren't happy. Eriksen, Alderweireld, and Vertonghen are all out of contract soon. Yeah. Danny Rose is another one who's out of contract and unhappy, and it shows.
Well, Dyer's not in favour either.
No.
Wanyama, it's not. So there's. I just wrote them down this morning. Like you go into a dressing room, like we've all been in a dressing room, and that's about 7 players we've mentioned there.
Yeah,
who are not
disaffected,
cannot be happy with the situation, because when you're a player, you want to believe we're all together and we're going to be here forever, right? That's not the case, and we talk about the spirit in the dressing room. How do you define a good spirit in the dressing room?
Yeah,
it's very difficult. But when everybody's pulling together, obviously, then you've got a better chance, and you don't see that. And he made his own statement at the weekend that some players here have their own agenda.
Yep.
And apparently it upset the players because they came out, they were criticising him over that. But I think he's right. Of course they have different in there.
They have their own agendas to get paid. The kind of money they'd be earning at another club.
So what else? Well, if you take Eriksen's case, we all know, everybody knows in the world, Eriksen wanted to go. And if a club had come in for him, he would have been gone.
Yeah.
Now he's in the dressing room and he's playing for Spurs. And the players know, his fellow players, well, Eric, you'd have been gone if
Yeah,
if he could. So it's difficult to win things pulling together. And
yeah.
When the morale in the dressing room, and it's very hard to define morale, but it's usually a group of lads who believe in the manager. The manager's going to be there forever, and they're all committed to what they're doing.
And that's certainly not the case.
It can't be.
No, it's showing in their results. Just to go on to a team we saw yesterday, Leicester, Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
5-0 demolition of Newcastle, who were reduced to 10 men before half-time for a very, very bad tackle.
Terrible tackle.
It was a shocking tackle. It could have been a broken leg. Now, Brendan Rodgers is a very good coach, John. He's done
well wherever he's been.
Yeah. Came very close
at
Liverpool until Stephen Gerrard slipped. But there were 5 points clear with 3 games to go, and they blew it. But he is a good coach. He did really well at Celtic, did really well at Liverpool, and now it looks like he's got an opportunity to do really well at Leicester. One of the key factors being that Jamie Vardy now is revitalised. I think the manager who was there before, French guy, Claude Powell, didn't fancy Vardy, and there was that's a big loss. He's a hell of a player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a terrific player, and he's retired from international football now. I think he should have got more caps than he did. But again, you go back to the morale situation.
Yeah,
the previous manager didn't get on with him. He's a leading member in the dressing room, and it's very, we know it's very fragile. So he's back playing, scoring goals the way he has done in the past. He's a terrific lad, and as you say with Brendan Rodgers, wherever he's been, he's done a good job. Yeah. And he's not a big mouth in any way, show off. No. And he gets on with the job. He relates to the players. You can see the players. Never says anything publicly wrong about the players. He behaves himself really well, Brendan Rodgers. And of course, the players respond to that.
On the basis of what you've seen this year, John, I mean, they're third in the table this morning, but the table, I mean, West Ham are fourth, so the table can be misleading. Would they have a chance of Champions League football if Spurs, for example, Manchester United, Arsenal, all of them are have got glaring weaknesses. Leicester, with that young team, and it is largely a young team, might have a chance.
Yeah, they have a chance, Eamon. But again, as you say, from season to season, it depends how what we consider to the major teams are doing.
Yes.
At the moment, you got Liverpool and Manchester City doing their stuff. Then there's a huge gap between them and what you consider Manchester United,
Spurs.
Arsenal, Spurs, and that gives an opportunity for Leicester. It's like the year they won the league, Eamon.
Yeah.
The big teams weren't doing it. It happens from time.
Funny enough, the big club that had a real chance that year was Spurs.
Yeah.
And they blew it.
They blew it.
They lost their mind at Stamford Bridge in a very important match.
Yes. Yeah. So the other teams dropped out. And it does happen from time to time. Like I say, when Leicester won the league, the big team, we consider to be the big teams up there. Like Manchester United, we know are struggling, but Spurs are not doing what they should be doing. Arsenal not doing what they should. Chelsea are not doing it. So obviously it leaves a gap. And if Leicester seem to be good enough to take advantage of that, definitely.
And just, you mentioned Chelsea there, John. Frank Lampard, it's his first big job. I thought he did a great job at Derby. I watched a lot of the championship matches. They got to the playoff final, actually, against Aston Villa. And I liked the attitude and the shape of his team. Very aggressive, liked to pass, liked to play. And they have a couple of players now, because the transfer ban exists for the next 2 windows, he can't sign anyone. So he's given young players the chance. Mason Mount, very good young player. Tammy Abraham, centre forward, very good young player. He's got Hudson Odoi, Loftus-Cheek. For years, people have been talking about Chelsea's youth system and how many outstanding players they've produced, and we never saw them in the team because we're trying to win things, and they were signing big checks. And
they were out on loan, Eamon.
Yeah, and if so, they sent them out on loan.
I think it became a business for Chelsea, actually. Yeah. Sign as many young players, get them out on loan. Somebody's paying their wages, and all we need is, if they're very good, really good, they can come back. If they're not good, we're going to get 5 million or 10 million. I think it became a business. And we all know from and I know from playing football, if you get to 18 and 19 as a really, really good player, Eamon, you should be in the team.
Yes.
Okay, you mightn't do it for a year or two, but but these lads with Chelsea didn't get that opportunity.
No.
So then they get to 21, 22, in my opinion, and they lose interest in it.
Yeah.
Because the people say, there's 22 now, and he's not as good as he should be. Because he didn't get the chance at 19 to be as good at 22.
Yeah.
And that's that now with Frank Lampard, it could be a blessing in disguise for him.
Yes.
Because he has to play these players.
Yeah.
He has to play them.
And he will get time, Frank, because he's hugely popular with the supporters, and he's hugely respected in the game for what he was as a player, and indeed the way he conducts himself off the field.
Yeah, he's been very good. And he's, as you say, he was a favourite with the players.
Yeah.
But the crowd too, this Chelsea support, know what he's up against. They know they can't buy players for next year. So there'll be a patience there, actually, that they didn't have for Sarri last year, despite the fact that he finished third in the league and won the Europa Cup. It wasn't a bad season overall, but he was an outsider, and he did do some funny things, all right. But if Frank Lampard, actually, for example, was doing some of the things that Sarri did last year.
Yeah.
They said, that's okay, Frank.
Yeah.
It's Frank.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of us. He knows what he's doing, and he can't do this and he can't do that. So it's a big job for him, as we know, but he couldn't have got better conditions to succeed at it.
Yeah.
For the way things have happened at Chelsea this year.
No, and he deserves success. He's a nice young guy. I think Lampard is, even when he was doing the punditry, on BT, he wasn't as dumb as some of them. By the way, David James, you'll be delighted to hear, is on Dancing with the Stars.
I saw him.
You saw him?
Yeah.
Strictly Come Dancing. Well, he's no good at that either.
He made some mistakes as a goalkeeper, Eamon, but he's in world class as a goalkeeper compared to his dancing. There's no doubt about that.
And his punditry. But he's off the register now for punditry. Now, I want to ask you two questions. One, given that your admiration, and it's shared by most people, for Pep Guardiola, who's going to win the Premier League? It's very early in the day. I want to know whether you think Liverpool have caught up with them, and this year Liverpool are going to win the championship. First time, I think, since 1999. Yeah. It's a hell of a long time. It might be 1989. But who would you make favourite at the moment?
I would make Liverpool favourites at the moment because they're 5 points ahead, Eamon, for a start.
Yeah. They were 7 points ahead at one stage last year in December.
Yeah. I think it's going to be tight again, because City having lost at Norwich didn't crack up. The teams can crack up at that stage.
They're never going to
they've had 3 or 4 wins since that. In other words, they've picked up again.
Yeah.
So it's going to be neck and neck again. I'd say Liverpool would have to be slight favourites at the moment because they've got a 5-point lead, and that they have to lose that. They're in I know it's early days, but they're in a winning position. In other words, it's in their hands really.
Yeah, at the moment. But it's not a big lead, and it's okay.
It's 5 points.
I mean, just as a general point, John, Liverpool have a shocking fixture list coming down the tracks in December, around December, Christmas time. Players are being asked to play too much football. The top players.
Well, it affects the top clubs, Eamon, as well, because they've got the top players.
Yep.
As you say, with Liverpool, the players going away playing for Brazil, the African Nations Cup, England were in the new competition that they created.
The Nations Cup.
All this carry on because the associations are greedy because it's no skin off their nose to create these competitions.
Yeah.
They're not paying the players.
No.
So the players have to come back to their managers and the clubs, the people that are paying them, and they're only human. I mean, I don't care how fit they are and all the various things that we talk about. People say, the money they're getting, they should be able to play eight matches a week. It doesn't matter how much money you're earning. You're just a human being. And there's only so much you can do. Now, that could be bad for Liverpool if they've got that many players going off to play at that particular time. And you see the Super Cup, as we call it.
Well, as Champions League winners, they have to fulfill.
That was created a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, as we know, that's another money spinner. Yeah, it's a money spinner for the club as well. But in the long run, I think the top clubs like that, like Liverpool and City, who have to do all these matches, they'd certainly be better off without it. That's for sure.
Now, tonight, John, Arsenal, Manchester United at Old Trafford. It's 4 years since Arsenal won away from home against what they call the top 6 teams. And we don't know yet whether Pogba will be fit. United had a terrible result in the League Cup. They beat Rochdale on penalties, which was like amazing. And Pogba started in that team. So did Mata and a few other first team players. That's a big game tonight, for differing reasons, really. I mean, both of them are struggling. That used to be the marquee fixture in the Premier League when Wenger was there and Ferguson was there. Now it's not quite so important, but it will be fascinating to watch. Solskjær is on, I would say, nerve tablets, and Arsenal aren't great either.
No, it's very hard to call it. But as you say, for two big clubs who are not what they were by any means, it's a huge match.
Yeah.
I find it very, very difficult to call. I think I've more players in Arsenal that I don't trust.
Yeah.
Than Manchester United. That's right. The way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at the best players.
Yeah.
Because you've got Luiz, you've got Xhaka.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't know if Ozil's going to play or
No, there's 3 for starters.
There's 3 for starters.
Xhaka, Ozil,
and Luiz.
Right.
That's 3 to start with.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Manchester United have 3 in their team that you could depend on less.
No.
So I'd probably
edge it for
United. If I put money on it, I'd probably put it on a draw. For a winner, I think I'd go for Man U.
Just a point worth making in a positive sense about Manchester United. They bought 3 big players in the summer. Wan-Bissaka, the right back. Daniel James, a young winger, 21, from Swansea. And, of course, Harry Maguire from Leicester. All of those signings, I think, were good. And they proved. They proved to be good signings. Yeah. So when they do spend the money, or when Solskjær's had the money to spend, they've targeted the right people. It's just not enough of them.
So far, yeah. I'd say Solskjær would have a say in it. I don't think he had the ultimate say in it, Eamon. So, that's either good judgment or a bit of luck. Well, it doesn't take much to buy Maguire, for example.
No. He was a standout player. Yeah.
Standout player. And the right back was a standout player as well. I'm not taking anything away from them. Good luck. No. Good luck to them. But the other lad, the left winger, James. Well, that was a good signing because he's coming from a lesser team and he's so far he's done his stuff. So that's gone in the right direction. But imagine if they hadn't got those lads.
Yep.
They should be joining the team. That they're adding to the team. They are adding to it, but the other players there. See, Pogba remains at the
epicenter of everything. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's supposed to be the best midfield player in the world by his price and that, and saying he's the complete midfield player
and his wages,
right? And he's not on his wages, and he's not doing it.
No.
And now he's in the team. Actually, there was a thing the other day. He made a young lad a captain. Did you see that?
Yes.
The other night, and Pogba was playing. So even Solskjær might have fallen out with him.
Yes.
So you don't know what's happening there. But if Pogba in the dressing room should be a really, really good influence.
Yes.
And should be. And he's not. He's definitely not, because you can see what he does on the pitch. So I think that's at the core of the big problem at Manchester United. Because Solskjær said from the start of the season, no, I got on well with him. He's a good lad. He's a good pro. He never caused me any trouble. So if he doesn't recognise the harm that he's doing, well, then there's no chance for them, including Solskjær's future.
Okay, John, thank you very much. That's John Giles, and that's our Premier League preview, and I look forward to tonight's game.